have a confession. I frogged it. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Tales from the Midnight Dyery. My name is Gemma and I'm coming to you as always from my home in Kent, where I live with my husband, my dog and my 2 cats. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is my weekly chat about things that have been going on creatively, mostly knitting and crochet, but occasionally some other bits dabbled in. And also I share with you some behind the scenes goings on at my company, the Midnight Dyery. So sometimes I have some yarn dyeing to show you, sometimes I share about the creative process, and sometimes I share things that I've been thinking about. And this week I've been thinking about making time to make things and how we achieve that in a busy life where things are opening up now, people are working full time again. Where do we fit our making in this modern, hectic, crazy world? So yeah, if this sounds like your jam, then please settle down, grab a cup of something, and yeah, let's chat. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It is so great to have you here time and again. All the places you can find me are just down in the bottom there in the description box, and I do hope you will join in the comments. There may be spot prizes for people, you know, engaging and commenting as we go through and responding to questions that I might ask you. So let's just get the chat going. Okay, so I've got a little bit of admin at the top of the episode. First of all, let's talk about make-alongs. There are 2 make-alongs going on now this week, one of which has been going on for most of the year and the other one just started last week. So the first one is the Midnight Make-along, and that is where we celebrate all things Midnight Dyery or Project Bag if you have my yarn before my rebrand. And if you're using a pattern that I've designed, or you're using 50% or more of the yarn in a project that you're doing was either the Project Bag or the Midnight Dyery, then you can enter into this make-along. I forgot to take photographs of the prizes last time. I'm probably not going to take a photograph of them this time, but to give you an idea, there are some pretty special prizes. There are some gadgets from one of my favourite companies, Knit Pro. I love their stuff. I use it myself, and so I thought I'd get some to share with you. There's some of my hand-dyed yarn up for grabs, and there is a project bag. So it's a big bundle. There's going to be one grand prize, and it's quite a big bundle of goodies that I've got for you. So yes, if that sounds like your cup of tea, then you know what to do. Use the hashtag that's appearing on the bottom of your screens now, hopefully. Come on, editing Gemma, and yeah, get involved. This is an Instagram make along, although there is an album in the Facebook group, the Midnight Makers, as well. Yeah, so that's that one. The second one is one that just started last week. It started on Monday, the 27th of September, and it is my annual winter cast on event. I used to run it as the festive cast on. This year I have run it as the winter cast on because I don't know about you guys, but I am so ready for sweater weather. So ready for sweater weather. It's been possibly the wettest summer down here in the southeast of England for quite some time. But September was then really warm, and you know, for me, September, the leaves start to turn. There are crocuses coming up. So there's a churchyard on my street. There used to be a church. Church has been knocked down, which is a real shame. I can't remember the story behind it. I don't know if it was damaged in a storm or something, but anyway. And this week, crocuses have come up. Crocuses are a spring flower, if you're not familiar with them. I'm not sure where they grow in the world. I think they're pretty common, but they are a spring flower, and they typically come up, you know, after the winter, about March time. It's September and the crocuses have come up. And these aren't first go crocuses. These crocuses were up in the spring as well. So the whole like weather thing has just gone bananas. So anyway, I really wanted to get those wintry vibes. So last week I did an Instagram live, and I was joined by my friend Ellen, who often gets involved with my hijinks and capers. And we had a really lovely time, and we followed it up with an unplanned Zoom party where some of you lovely lot actually joined in, and it was really nice to actually be able to talk to you and see what you were casting on and chat about all the things. And it went on quite late. I really wasn't expecting it or planning it, but it was really, really lovely. So thank you if you are a new person who's joined in with that. And if you're here off the back of that, then welcome. So the Great Winter Cast On, as I was not saying, is a make along that runs until the 18th or 19th of December. And anything you cast on, or technically start, and I'll come to what I mean by that in a moment, between the 27th of September and the 18th, 19th of December counts. Now, I expect more than just the cast on edge for this. I do have some standards. I mean, I don't have many when it comes to creativity. I'm not exactly strict with these things, but I do have some standards. And so the standards I have, I expect to be adhered to. That sounds really strict. Yes, so anything you start. Now, why do I say start and not just cast on? Well, as you know, confusing as the name of this is, the Great Winter Cast On, I like my make-alongs to be multi-craftable wherever possible. So it's not just talking about knitting and crochet and spinning. We are also talking about things such as what do we say? Embroidery, punch needle, hand sewing, machine sewing, clothes making, you know, winter baking, anything like that, anything that's making and creative. And it ties into kind of what I've been thinking about a lot this week and why I've been thinking about it. So there is no obligation to finish these objects. I mean, some of them you probably will finish. Like for example, a cake, you wouldn't just crack a few eggs and chuck some flour in and go, here's my entry, and then just leave it. I would hope that you'd mix it up and put it in the oven, you know, and maybe eat it. But yeah, so that would count. But I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not the world's greatest finisher of things. I'm a fantastic starter of things, not the world's greatest finisher of things. So that in mind, there is no obligation to finish things in this make along. To enter, you use the hashtag Great Winter Cast On. Do tag me in posts if your account is private, otherwise I will probably miss them. I will share some in my stories each time to share inspiration for you, but you know, sharing them being shared in my stories does not mean you do or don't win a prize. And also join in the Facebook group. Now that is where you can really chatter and share what you're making with others and share the inspiration and chat about your makes. And it's a really lovely place. I've opened an album already. Now bearing in mind this started less than a week ago, there are 6 finished objects already. It's not about finishing things, but Sam has knit 4 hats. I mean, at this point she's probably knit a 5th and a 6th, but last time I spoke to her she'd knit 4 hats. Angela has knit a hat, a beautiful hat, and this morning I saw she'd finished a pair of socks. They were super chunky socks, but still finished a pair of socks. And Jules has done a topless hat. No, that's not what I mean. Oh, not a topless hat. One of those ones with a hole in the top, messy bun hat, something like that, one your ponytail can come out of, in her hand spun. So she started the spinning, so that's one thing, and she started knitting it, that's another thing. But no extra prizes for finished objects here, you know, because I mean, it's me. Yeah, so that's that one, and that is going on all that long time. And actually we are coming up on the first prize draw for this, so there is going to be, there are going to be, I should say, because there are multiple of these, several prize bundles for December, and I'm going to draw the prizes on or around the 18th as near as I can to it, announce them here on the podcast, and if you get in touch with me quickly, then you'll get your prizes sent out to you and hopefully with you before Christmas, depending where you are in the world. This is open worldwide. I think I'm right in saying that because I'm sending gifts and not paid for goods, it's a little bit easier to send worldwide without too much of a hiccup. That said, it doesn't mean there's not going to be any customs to pay depending where you are in the world. So do bear that in mind. It is possible, I think, to look into digital prizes. I don't know. We'll cross these bridges as we come to them. This is my first international make along since all the rules changed, so I'm very much sort of finding my feet here. But yes, so there's going to be 5, I think there's about 5 bundles so far for the kind of prize draw in December, but I'm actually going to give away a prize at the end of October, and that prize is a copy of Hohi Locatelli's fall pattern ebook. So not just a pattern from the collection, the entire collection I will be gifting to one lucky viewer of the podcast, or entry. I say viewer of the podcast, you don't have to be a viewer of the podcast, although if you're sat here you are a viewer of the podcast. Stop overthinking things, Gemma. Basically, someone who's using the hashtag and getting involved in the Facebook group. You can double dip in both, you see, and it doubles your chances of winning. Someone will be getting that ebook. So there's that. Is that all the admin for the moment? Yes, I think so. All the other stuff, like where you can find me and things, and the website, and I also have a Ko-fi account, so if you fancy sort of supporting me without buying yarn, then there's a Ko-fi account which I'll link just down below as well. Yeah, I think that's it, other than, yeah. Oh, if you want to learn to knit socks, I've brought my online sock course to my website. I'm going to be running it on the 15th and 22nd of October, so 2 Fridays. It's going to be split across 2 Fridays. It's £40 for the whole course, and all the details are on my website, and I will link it just down below for you as well. I have a finished object for you, and I have the opportunity to share with you 2 of the finished objects that I couldn't share with you last time. So the first finished object, this one, look, technically I'm going to show you 4. The first one you've actually seen before, but this time it is blocked. I have not yet woven in the ends. I'm going to be doing that and getting a photograph of it hopefully tomorrow. But this is the tullamine, which you can see a lot better now that it has been blocked. I don't have blocking pins, so I had to make do with dressmaking pins, and for the bottom, to get this to stop rolling in quite so much, I actually used double pointed needles. I pinned it out, I wet blocked it, and in the end what I did was I pinned it out on the bedroom floor, in the spare bedroom, which actually was a really good way of doing it. And my friend Kirsty, who is Grenade Creations and has the Grenade Creations podcast, she's a darling, you need to go and watch it if you don't already, suggested folding it in half to do it with, and that's what I've done. So I'm really pleased with that. That's the tullamine shawl. I won't go into lots of detail about that here because I talk about it a couple of podcasts ago, I think 2 episodes ago. So if you want the lowdown on this fantastic pattern, then go and check that one out. Okay, the next one I have a photograph of, but not the actual finished object. And this is my Cosy Box pattern, the crochet pattern. So if you don't know, I do a subscription box. It's not you sign up and you have to sign up for all 4. You choose to sign up for each instalment, and the Cosy Box is designed around basically the idea of being cozy, a bit of a hug in a box, and each one comes with a knitting pattern and a crochet pattern, and this time I designed both of them. So the yarn I used is MCN Merino Cashmere Nylon Aran, and it's squishy and gorgeous, and everyone who touches it just goes ooh and puts it to their face. Not great in a pandemic, but if it's your own skein, then it's fine. So I decided we've had gloves, we've had shawl, we're going to have cowl this time. So I created this cowl, which I've forgotten the name, I've named it, but I'll put it on the screen. It's really, really simple actually. It's not bad if you are a new crocheter. It's worked flat. The only kind of slightly tricky bit is that it's using the 3rd loop or the dropped loop every other round, or every other row I should say, but that creates these really nice ridges. So I wanted it to be kind of unisex and to have a bit of structure and to show off the yarn, and so that's how I've designed this one. The next one I also have a photo of for you, and hopefully I'll have some better photos soon. I've popped it away now and I actually can't find it. Is my vine leaf cowl, I think. I can't remember what I've called it, but this is the knitting version, knitted version of the cowl project, and it's using purl and knit stitches to create this kind of leaf motif vine leaves kind of going around the cowl. I'm really, really pleased with it. It's pretty good pattern for if it's in your first in the round pattern. It starts flat for the moss stitch border and then it joins in the round, and both of those patterns will be available at the end of October on my payhip store and in Ravelry. So if you're in the market for a quick cozy make, it's Aran weight, ideal for, you know, this autumnal weather we're starting to get, then maybe those are for you. All right, the next finished object is hot off the needles, and this is my Marled rainbow blanket, which you will remember from some time ago if you've been viewing the podcast for a while. Back when it was still the project bag last year, I started this one. I did one and I enjoyed it so much I started another one, but I've made it bigger, so it's actually double the width that you can see here that I'm holding up here. And I've used undyed 4-ply yarn, merino nylon, held double with various mini skeins. I've arranged into a rough rainbow, and it's just really squishy and pleasing, and there's a lot to be said for garter stitch. So you might be surprised to see this if you were viewing the podcast last week or the week before. I think it was definitely 2 episodes ago I talked about this. My friend Ellen had said, you know, well, why don't you just do a couple of rows a night and you'll get it done in no time. Well, not in no time, it'll be done by the end of the year. And I said, that's a really good plan. But what I found was once I started working on it again, it's all I wanted to work on. I just wanted to work on this all the time and I couldn't put it down. And I would sit down to do my few rows for that day and think, right, I need to move on to something else now. But I didn't want to, I just wanted to work on this. And yes, so last time I showed it to you, let's find the stitch marker. I was here, so last week I was here with where this stitch marker is. Let me try and hold it up a bit differently. There we are. And in a week, I've done all of that, which, considering I was going to be doing like 2 rows a day, so that'd be 14 rows. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, you could have expected me to be there. I've actually done 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 16, 40, 40, 40, 50, 74 rows. So it was closer to 10 rows a day, and I think actually there was one day when I just worked on it completely. There were a couple of days when I didn't touch my knitting at all. And we'll come to that in kind of the little featurette of this episode. But there we are. Ends are not all woven in. I was weaving in as I went with some of them. So I've got a bit of ending to weave in, ends to weave in, or weaving in of ends to do, and then it's done. But I love how squishy these blankets are. There's something so lovely about holding 2 4-plies together. And it feels different to just working with a double knitting weight yarn, even though that's technically what I'm creating. I don't know if it's because you are holding 2 strands together. Maybe it has a bit more air, a bit more poof. I don't know, but I mean, just check out that squish. So that is really, really satisfying. So where does that leave me with my whip board? Well, before you say anything, I know I said before that blankets don't count as whips, but I've changed my mind. Blankets count as whips because I wanted to take it off my whip board and not count and count it as a whip finished. But anyway, here we are. Here is my whip board. I'm hoping you can see this because I've got the camera the other way around, which I hope improves the focus. There have been some focus issues with the last few episodes, and I'm really sorry about that. So it's come off of there, and it's so hard to get it off because it's been there for such a long time that the dry wipe doesn't want to dry wipe anymore. So I've now just got the granny stripe blanket on there, and I have kind of made my peace with the fact that that is going to be a whip for probably another 5 years. I've got just the playground socks. I've got the architecture sweater and Julia cardigan, which technically work whips. And then I've got the Bamba shawl and the Slipstravaganza. So that is it. And it's got me thinking a lot about what I want to make. So obviously I finished the Blue Lagoon socks quite quickly. And then I got really into the Marled rainbow blanket that's just down here beside me. But I now don't have any sort of TV knitting. And so you would think, well, yes, Gemma, but You had a cast on party last week, didn't you? So you cast something on, so that should be on the board. I have a confession. I frogged it. I frogged it. Not because I don't want to make it. I do want to make it, and it's going to be made for my goddaughter for her Christmas Eve blanket, because my godson's got one already. Well, he hasn't got it already. It's here with me. I'm going to give them both at the same time. They're twins. I think I've mentioned this. Yeah, I didn't want to put it on my whipboard. So I cast on the Monday night and I did a few rows, and I really didn't want to put it on my whipboard. So I frogged it. It's gone. It's gone. I think it's going to be cast on again anyway. If not after I finish recording this podcast, then within the next couple of days, because I now have nothing that is just, as the lovely Kristen would say, potato chippy. So just one more row. Mindless, easy, do it sort of any time of day, grab it up, put it down. I don't have anything like that. And the Christmas Eve blanket is going to be garter stitch again. So garter stitch is just where you knit every row when you're working flat. Obviously, if you're trying to do garter stitch in the round, you have to knit one round, purl one round. But yes, so just knitting. So yeah, that kind of got frogged. I've been accused of cheating. Not quite sure how, because I cast on and did a few rows. And also, I'm not eligible for prizes, and it's my make along my rules. So, frankly. So that is it for so finished objects. Obviously, we've now moved into works in progress, and that's, yeah. So what have I been working on? Well, I did actually only finish the Marled blanket last night. So this morning in coffee morning, I made a start on. We had company round earlier for the first time in so long, and so I did the thing where you just drop your project packs down the side of the sofa. But this is what I brought out to work on next, because the setup row is not tricky, but it requires thought for this next section. But after that, it should become fairly plain sailing. So I've brought out my Slipstravaganza, which doesn't look very different to how I last showed it to you, other than the fact it's now got a hell of a lot of stitch markers hanging off of it, because what I'm doing now is the setup row for the chevrons. Now, I was with Coffee Morning for an hour and a half this morning, and I'm only just halfway across the row. It's actually these two Betty Boop, can you see those? Yeah, Betty Boop stitch markers actually mark the middle triangle, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they mark the middle triangle. So I'm officially halfway there on this row, and that's my next thing to try and do. But I've gone up to 903 stitches from 480 something. So that is a significant increase. So yeah, this is probably going to take me quite some time. This is the only whip I've really worked on. And it, as I say, it has left me in something of a quandary, because like right now I need to be able to sit and concentrate on it. My playground socks are 8 rows of lace without a break, so I need to concentrate on that as well, and I don't really feel like doing that at the moment. And the other 2 sweaters, or the other shawl probably isn't too bad, but I want to finish this one. So I've started to almost become a one project at a time sort of girl, which is very strange, but also deeply unsatisfying, because I like to have a couple of different options, because I might not always want to do garter stitch. I might want something more challenging. I love a cable, for example. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think some casting on may have to happen. That garter stitch blanket for my goddaughter is probably going to be cast on again, possibly tonight, to be fair. But I wanted to show you my whipboard. Can I have a gold star, please? Yeah, I wanted to show you this while it looks like this. I think Mia's blanket's going to have to go up here before anything else comes off the needles. So there we are. So that is it for whips. That was speedy. So now we come to the little featurette, which this week is thinking about making time to make things. So now let's talk about the little featurettes. So what I've been thinking about is making time to make things, because I had the best part of a week off work, I think not last week but the week before, and I made loads of progress on my knitting. And I think I shared with you that actually at the point I went back to work from finishing having my few days off sick, I just didn't touch my knitting at all. And now furlough has ended, and I've been very fortunate to keep my job through the pandemic. I've been furloughed for most of it, on and off, and up until Thursday, when furlough ended, I was furloughed half time. So I was working half my hours for the day job. And I've managed, it's been okay. But I also sort of had that time then to get a bit of balance in my life. You know, I was tidying the house a bit more and, you know, doing other things. But then returning to work, albeit part-time initially when I came back from being sick, I just didn't touch my needle. So I thought, I'm going to have to build in time to make things here. I need to make things. It makes me feel so much better. Making and creating is so important, I feel. Do you feel the same? I mean, obviously you like it because you're here watching this podcast. We've got shared interests. But yeah, it was a surprise to me to realise how little I actually managed to make time, and time is going to become even more precious. And it got me thinking about like the world we live in. So we live in a 24/7 sort of world. You're always on. There's always something taking up your time. A lot of us have our own homes, you know, rented or purchased, whatever. And we're juggling the home stuff with the working full time, with relationships, with friendships, with family obligations. And where are we in that? And where is our making time in that? Because I know I'm a much nicer person to be around if I've had some time to chill and make things. And what I'm decided to do is I kind of come up with 3 things about this. Okay, so the first thing that I've realised, that I've learned in the last sort of week or so, and it's only been a week or so, so there's still a lot more learning to go, is to be intentional. So it's at the forefront of your mind. It is on your to-do list. That's one of the things I've done. I've actually put it in my bullet journal on my daily task sheet, 1 hour crafting. Even if it's just 1 hour, if that's all I get, I'm having that 1 hour. And actually on the days when my husband goes to work, because he's part at home, part in the office, I end up getting up a lot earlier. So about sort of 6 o'clock. And when he's left, I have actually intentionally said, you know what, I'm not going to get started on all the other things that need doing, because this is part of my to-do list. So I have intentionally sat for an hour, and I've done other things as well. I've watched podcasts or vlogs. I'm into these decluttering YouTubers at the moment, because obviously I'm trying to tidy my house out and sort my life out. So I've done that as well, but I have sat with a cup of something and worked for an hour, and it's just a really nice way to start my day. So I'm being really intentional about it. It is on my to-do list. It is a valid piece of my time, you know, that's blocking it out. And I think valuing the crafting and what it brings you and the creating as much as you value, or we're told to value, all the other things is just as important, if that makes any sense. Okay, the second thing is to be opportunistic. So I know this kind of goes against what I've just said about being intentional, but grabbing any opportunity you can. So if I have a lunch break, for example, which if I have a lunch break, of course we should have lunch breaks. So I have a lunch break during my day, I eat, I do my insulin, I do the things I need to do. Quite often what I used to do is sort of get up within minutes of eating. So I might sort of only have 15 minutes, and then I'd be like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And sort of go back onto the kind of the guinea pig wheel, the hamster wheel of just going. But actually, do you know what? That's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to sit and do something different. If you've got the opportunity to scroll through your phone, like put the phone to one side and take that opportunity to do a few stitches, or to, oh, I don't know, if making time for you is reading, you know, we'll read a few pages of your book. If making time for you is baking, well then, you know, if you've got 5 minutes while the kettle's boiling in the morning, why don't you prep your ingredients then? And then the next opportunity that comes up, perhaps it is your lunch break, you know, while your lunch is heating through, mix them up, get them in the oven, you know, grab those opportunities wherever you can and don't squander them. I think, especially for me, with running 2 businesses and having a lot of my world in my phone, a lot of my friends are in my phone or in YouTube or in Zoom, in those places, the temptation can be to just sort of scroll and use your phone, and that's time I could be using to make. So that was my other thing. And the third thing, and this is what's bringing me back to my work in progress board and why I think I need to cast this garter stitch on, is to have the means to take those opportunities and to be intentional. So having something for each situation you're in. So if my husband and I are watching a series, we're currently watching The Last Kingdom. I know we're so late to the party on that. Well, that's just really good. We're really enjoying it. So if we're doing that, then I can sit and watch it with him. But it would be great to, you know, do something with my hands as well and make things. And so actually having a lace project on the go isn't ideal. So having different projects for different moods, for different situations, is actually a really good idea. And so, yeah, so being prepared. So being intentional, being opportunistic, and being prepared. Those are my top 3 things. So I opened up the field to you guys. I was up quite early, and I had posted a picture of myself working on, not myself, my hands working on my Marled blanket. And so I'm just going to take advantage of this hour to make some stuff. When do you guys find time to make things? And the answers came back. You know, some people get up a little bit earlier to make things, to make some time for themselves. Some people make sure they have their knitting with them, you know, in the car when they're on the school run, so they can get a few rounds in then. Other people when the kids are napping, TV time in the evenings, you know, some really creative ways that people are squeezing in this making time. And it's really interesting I'm interested to know, does that kind of add to the kind of frantic feel, to the pressure for making, or is it overall calming and just makes you feel better? How do you make time to make things in your life? What tips do you have to build in this time? Because it's not just about making things and finishing things, it's about taking time for you and filling your cup, because we're constantly giving of ourselves. We're giving of ourselves to work, we're giving of ourselves to family, we're giving ourselves to friendships, to relationships, to animals, to the home, you know, to all of these millions of things that are kind of in our lives now, pulling us in different directions, you know. We're responding to messages, we're checking our emails, we're, you know, actually taking time for us and filling that cup up again and sort of, you know, I mean, it might not even be making things that's your jam, you know. It could be exercise, you know, how do you squeeze that in? And what do you do? I'm not a big one for getting up extra early to get that time. I'm a huge one for revenge bedtimes. I've heard about this recently. And that's where you are really tired and you know you should go to bed. But if you do go to bed, then you lose that little bit of time that's yours, and you are so determined to have that time that's yours, and you end up being even more tired and whatnot. And I have actually knit way past my bedtime a lot lately. And it's possibly showing because I'm starting to ramble. So that's it for this week. Those are my thoughts. Those are my makes. And those are the make-alongs. So yeah, join in the comments below. You never know, there might be a spot prize for people joining in the conversation here on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to do it every week, but I will do it some weeks. So get involved. Is that terrible? Is that terrible of me? One of the things I've loved about the Zooms and the Instagram Lives is they're much more interactive, and I get to talk to you. Sometimes here it feels a little bit like, I know I'm not talking to myself because I know you guys are watching, and lots of you take the time to private message me about it, which is so cool. But it'd be nice to sort of see a kind of bigger conversation going, and getting a big conversation going around here anyway. So with that in mind, I am going to go and get finished object photos of my tulle. I'm going to weave the ends in first. I'm going to finish my first row of Stephen and see if I can't get that going. And I might just cast on that garter stitch blanket. My husband is working. I've got an hour or so before I need to cook dinner. I'm going to grab that opportunity. I hope you make the most of your creative opportunities this week, and I look forward to talking to you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.